What we're going to do now is to explore how to change this code into the challenge task code, which requires a menu system to be written. Now, in the previous video, we converted the flowchart by removing certain items and adjusting it to what we needed for the menu system from the original flowchart. I'm going to do the same with this particular piece of code here. But just as a reminder, let's have a look and see what the flowchart actually had in it. Now, you'll notice that we started off with the flowchart with outputting the options and then inputting the choice. There was no element of attempts being counted. We literally just had to read in a choice and then decide whether the choice was within the range we wanted. And that forms the loop. We want to loop back if the choice needs to be asked again. So if the choice is between 1 and 3, we're happy, we can leave. Once we've left, we can then produce the relevant outputs depending on which of the options they've chosen. And in a sense, that's the same as we've got here. We've got the guess being defined. When we go into the loop, we ask what the guess is going to be, and then we check to see whether the guess is correct. And when we leave, we can then produce a response. So we're going to use this code as a kind of formation of the new code we want. So similar to before, the first thing I can do is to get rid of any reference to attempts, because we just don't need that at all. So I'm going to get rid of attempt here, I'm going to get rid of this line, which also has attempt, and also get rid of the reference to attempt in the loop condition at the bottom. So we've kind of stripped away some of the detail that we didn't need. I'm also going to change some of the words because it no longer makes sense to talk about a guess. This is a choice. So I'm going to change, just like I did in the flowchart, I'm going to change guess to choice. Okay, so choice, and therefore I need to do the same in the other options down here. So choice is going to be input, and I want to do a choice here. Now I no longer need to worry about lowercase and uppercase because choice is essentially a number. Okay, although it's being recorded as a string, VB is a flexible language and it does allow us to do things like equals 1. Okay, and that will work. So we can do that. It will also allow us to do things like less than and greater than. We'll come into that in a few moments. The final thing is I'm going to also change this to choice as well, just to make sure that I don't have any references to guess now in my program, and I can fiddle around with it after that. Now, the first thing I want to do is to output the options available. So a little bit of speeding up is about to happen, but I'm just going to pop here to the top of the program, and I'm going to paste in console write line and then create the choices as they're supposed to be defined in the program. Okay, so there's my options originally there. I'm just going to adjust my comments now to make sure that the comment reflects what we're going to actually be doing in this program. So loop to ask for the choice and continue until a correct choice is made. Okay, so let's just adjust that a little bit. Now, I'm going to adjust this console write line into a console write, which simply means it doesn't go on to the next line at the end. And I'm going to say enter choice and put a little arrow after there at the end. So the cursor will sit after that little greater than symbol and it will look like a proper entry there. Okay, so that's the code adjusted. So now instead of asking for a guess to a capital city question, it's now asking for us to type in the choice that we want. Now loop until choice equals 1 might work, and one thing you could do, of course, is to say loop until choice equals 1 or choice equals 2 or choice equals 3. And I've seen some solutions that look a bit like that. And that would work, okay? We want 1, 2, or 3. We don't want anything in between, and that would work quite happily. The other option is to give the computer slightly less to do by just asking for, is it greater than or equal to 1 or less than or equal to 3, which means I don't need to check 2 at all because they're basically in between. And of course I need and with those two. So is the choice greater than or equal to 1 and is the choice less than or equal to 3? And that essentially means between 1 and 3. Okay, it would also work to do something like greater than 0 and less than 4. Okay, that doesn't include 0 and 4, but it would also work. Okay, but let's stick to the original version there because I think that's clearer. That will allow us to keep looping around and asking for a choice if the user doesn't type in a number between 1 and 3. And once we're outside the loop, we want to produce the correct message output. That's all correct. And so I simply just want to check the different possible choices and put some sort of message in to say, correspond to this. So here we go into the game. Okay, something like that. We also have the facility to do another test within the same if statement. So else if choice equals 2. So if choice is not equal to 1, else, we will now want it to do another check to see whether it's equal to 2. If it's equal to 2, then we want to do another console.writeLine, and here are the instructions. Finally, the only other possibility, and this matches on my flowchart, you'll notice I didn't have another choice. We just want to say goodbye, okay? And so what we've got here is a program that essentially matches perfectly with our flowchart. Now, some people have actually put this if statement here inside the loop. So in other words, as soon as they type in a correct choice, it will do this, and it will then just exit. And that's absolutely perfect. Okay, so there's no problem taking that code and doing that inside the loop like this. But you'll notice this is going to immediately, as soon as the choice is entered, if it's one of the three options, it's going to allow us to output the response, and then it will leave the loop.